Hello, everybody. This is Sasha. Welcome to my podcast today. I am so happy to welcome Marianne, who is a colleague of mine. She's a female sexuality coach and a psychologist. And we were just discussing how many things we have in common. She's also a graduate from the same school where I graduated. So we have like all of these things together. So nice to welcome you.
Yeah, so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Really.
Thank you. One of the things that we have in common is that we work, we're passionate and we work a lot with women's pain during sexuality. Like, have you ever experienced pain? How normal do you think pain is and how you can overcome it? So that's a topic that we really want to approach today because I think that women take for granted that sexuality is meant to be painful. Have you found that in your practice?
Yeah, a lot of women come to me and they, they feel that there is a lot of pressure that they need to be straight, like get wet immediately, be ready like very fast, and their body isn't working like that. And there's a lot of frustration in women that they feel like, if I'm not ready straight away, like, like I feel like there's something wrong with me. I feel like I'm broken, or there's like, my sexuality is broken. And many women, they like they kind of push themselves to, or let themselves be penetrated too early, so their body is not aroused enough yet, so it causes a lot of pain. And also there is a lot of women that come to me and they say, well, I don't know what's happened, but I don't have any sexual trauma. Like, I haven't been sexually abused, I haven't been raped, but still my body weird things that are happening to me, that there is a lot of pain that I'm experiencing when I want to make love with my partner, and I don't understand why. And then a lot of women come to me and they say, yeah, and then I just start crying and I don't know what to do about it. And they really feel like, there's something wrong with them. Their body is broken. And well, their body is not broken, but just the way we're having sex is broken.
Totally. I love that so much because it's so true. And you just mentioned so many different things that are very important topics isolated, and when they get together, they
Yes.
become a huge issue. One of the things is lubrication. It's like this idea that lubrication just happens as fast as men's erections, right? Like
Yes.
we're just, the way in which I see sex happening constantly, even portrayed in the movies, and
Oh,
the way in
yes.
which people do it, it's like if they were just squeezed, booby A, booby B, and you're ready to go, right? Like,
Yes. One lousy kiss and you should be wet. That's it.
yeah, and there is this sense that if you're not wet enough, you are not really excited. And there are many subtopics that are very important from that misconception. Like, it's not really necessarily connected all the time. Arousal and lubrication. It's not always one
Yes.
equals the other necessarily all the time. So, but that's what just one topic. And the other that I love that you mentioned is this idea that they are broken. This idea that that there's something wrong with their body because they maybe didn't suffer through a very traumatic experience, and then again they feel that there's something wrong. So I think there's so much in there, and so many women can feel familiar with that. But let's just start with one, which is this lubrication thing. Uh, Many women don't understand how their lubrication is supposed to work. What could you tell them about the lubrication process?
Well, also for every woman, it's different, of course. Everybody works differently. So a lot of women, they just need so much more time to warm up, to have the body become fully aroused. And like for example, for myself, I gave birth to my son, and when I gave birth, they cut my vagina. I don't know, I don't remember how
Uh-huh.
you call it.
Yeah.
There's a specific word how you call it, but basically they cut my vagina. But when I only discovered later on that when they cut my vagina, they also cut through the nerves, but they also cut through, there is at the back end of the vagina, there's all these glands that actually um, help with the lubrication. So when they cut through that, they also damage these lubrication organs, the
Yeah, the
glands.
glands. Uh-huh.
Yes. And then, my mind, if I'm talking about my own experience, my mind really wanted to have sex, but my body just wasn't working. First of all, because, there was all these traumas that came up from giving birth, from having been cut, but also because they cut through the glands, so they weren't working as they should. So I was getting much less lubrication.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's lots of things that you can do about this, but also not to be ashamed to say, you know what, maybe we just use some extra lubrication because my body is not producing the same amount as how I want my body to have it, how wet I want it to be. And I
Oof,
think there's a lot of shame about this, that women, they
I,
feel like, my body should do it, and I cannot say, well, my body isn't really doing what I want to, so I shouldn't ask for this, or I should just, while
yeah.
of course we can always help nature a little bit. And most of the time, whenever I add a little bit of lubrication, and I prefer to use the organic stuff, so I use liquid coconut oil with some really nice essential oils that I mix myself, and it's helping, because the minute that I apply some oil, I feel that my body is saying, hey, now it feels nicer, I can relax more. And then just the warming up part is already helping to give more of my natural lubrication by just helping a little bit. And I think there's a lot of shame also on women, that they are, their body should do it by themselves, and if it doesn't do it, then, again, coming back to, like, there's something wrong with me because I didn't get wet enough. And
Yeah.
it can take really long time sometimes. And then there's also this ways that sometimes, women can get wet, um, I don't know, like smelling a cake, for example, and you don't understand, like, but how now my body is having,
Yeah.
all this lubrication. So it's also, yeah, the body of the female body is just, yeah, very mysterious
Yeah.
body, and there can be so many different ways and angles, and so many different outside. How do you say that? Like, I can't find a word, like things that trigger us, or like stimulate us, that have an influence on how our body is responding.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, non-concordant lubrication is a thing, and
Yes.
it's so important. It's so important. We should always be discussing that, because there are, as you mentioned, some physiological aspects which can go from trauma, like being caught after birth, to just sometimes the environment, sometimes the food, sometimes your
Yes.
hormones, the circle.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, definitely.
it's so important to recognize that you can be aroused and not being wet, and you can be
Yeah,
wet and not be aroused, and that
exactly.
changes the paradigm so
Yeah.
profoundly.
Yes.
And that changes things also when it comes to shame, for being aroused
Yeah.
in a moment in which you shouldn't be aroused.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it can be deeply
And again,
healing.
also shame when you think you should be wet and
Uh-huh.
you're not. So there is
Exactly.
all the time this, shame that comes up in sexuality, when we speak about female sexuality.
And then the
So
shame of asking your partner, right? Like saying,
yeah,
hey, stop and let's use this.
yes,
That is easy to say, but not so easy to do for many women. Like, just
yeah,
stopping the partner and saying, I need my lubricant, I need to use it.
yeah, yes, yes. There's so much shame, and I think it's really it's the time to really like work on this, to have women understand that they shouldn't be ashamed of, because this is how our body works. And if we understand more and say, okay, now I really want to have sex, but my hormones, my whatever, and the lubrication isn't working, okay, I use, and it's fine, it's okay, there's nothing to be ashamed of. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so much conditioning from so many years of believing that we need to be ashamed and that it's wrong, or that our body is not working correct. And yeah, it goes very deep.
I
Yeah.
always say, don't be cheap with the lubricant. Just
Yes.
the the
For
more the
sure.
merrier.
Yes, for sure. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's so important. And then we go to the pain, right? Like,
Yes.
of course, when we are not lubricated enough, we feel pain. But there is also the fact that our vaginas hold a lot of tension. They hold a
Yes.
lot of stress. They hold a lot of memories. I like to
Yes.
compare it to the shoulders. When you are stressed and you just start going like this,
Yeah.
and how you need to press to relax in order
Yes.
to actually
It's
feel alive in
yeah.
your in your
Yeah.
body. So the vagina goes through the same. She starts just tensing.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, how how to be aware of the tension that we are experiencing in our vagina?
Yeah. And I think it's even more than the tension. I think it's also like the vagina is made to absorb, like to absorb sperm, the semen, to create a baby. But it's not only absorbing the semen, it's also absorbing the energies, the emotions, and not even just from your partner, but also from everything around of us. We're mothers, we're daughters, we're friends, we're sisters, we're taking from everyone around of us so much, because we're giving, but with the giving, we're also, taking in the pains, the suffering from everybody else. And these energies, if you don't know how to release the energies that you're picking up, it gets stuck. And it's most of it, all these emotions and energies, most of it gets stuck inside the vagina. Like you said, then it starts tensing up, because you're carrying that load on your shoulders, but you're holding it inside your vagina.
Yeah.
And it's and again, this is also this conditioning, and this we need to go with how our system is. So we have jobs, we need to work, we're not in alignment with the cycle that we're in. Like, we're really like psychical beings, and we have our periods. They guide us, they show us, like, this is the time where you can be really productive, this is the time where you feel much more sensual, this is the time where it's time to move inward and to let go. And we don't give ourselves the space to really feel all the emotions, all the things that it's time to release. And if you don't release it, it stays stuck in your body. And when it stays stuck in your body, like most of us in our study, we have read the book The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
It really is like this, and your body starts showing as if it had huge trauma, while maybe you didn't had a huge trauma, but just the small daily things of all the emotions and energies and whatever that you haven't been released throughout the month, and maybe throughout months, and then maybe years. And then your body is showing itself as that you have been experiencing a huge sexual trauma. And I've had, for example, one client of mine who came to me, and she was in a relationship for more than 18 years. And in this 18 years, she never had been able to experience intercourse without pain.
Yeah.
So obviously, they also didn't do it so much because she was really suffering. And it was really interesting, because she told me she never had any sexual experience. She grew up in a really beautiful family, so there was no, like, from outside there was nothing showing that it should say like there is trauma in her body. But when I started working with her, I also worked with a Jade-Egg with her. And many times in the build up, in the beginning sessions when we were still resolving the trauma, doing the trauma release and the trauma, like resolving the trauma, her body would literally feel ice cold, like freeze. It's the freeze mode. You know, we have the flight, the fight or freeze, and she went literally into freeze mode. It's the whole body saying like, I'm full of trauma and I don't know what to do with it.
Wow.
But the beautiful thing is that after 3 months of working with me, she managed to enter inside, like enter into her body, into her vagina, the jade egg, without any pain. And that's like after 18 years, that's like amazing, of course. So it's possible for all women to be pain-free. But yes, there's so many layers that, you know, even we say, well, I haven't been sexually abuse, so there shouldn't be any pain. Still, just growing up in this society where we feel threatened, and lots of us feel threatened by men also, even if we don't want it, it's the body keeps the score. The body is showing its effect, and that's most of the time showing it in pain. And also, if you, there's so much to tell.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But also, if you think about like in the Chinese medicine, so you have reflexology points. So the vagina is also, there's so many different reflexology points, but the opening of the vagina, it's related to feeling like trust.
Yeah.
So if you don't trust yourself with a man, or if you don't trust the man with you, then it's also, it immediately shows up at the opening of the vagina, and it causes pain. So there are so many different aspects and different layers that have to do with this pain.
Absolutely. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I I love this because I have seen that first, of course, in my practice, but first in myself as well. I remember
Yeah.
the first time that I went through sexual healing practices, how I found that this same resistance that you mentioned, like, hey, I was not sexually abused that I recall, because
Yes.
eventually I recall the experience, but it's like I don't remember experience
Yeah.
that would justify the pain that I feel. But then when you go deeper into the experience, deeper into the wisdom of your body, which is not as easy to access for everybody,
Yeah.
for some women it takes more practices, more time to just get to feel something. Because as you mentioned, it's like ice cold. We learn to not
Yes.
feel, to just dissociate from the vagina
Yes.
in order
Block it out.
to
Yeah.
block it out.
Yeah.
So the more you start tapping into the safety of being able to connect with your pussy, it's just a process of trusting, of letting her know that she can trust you, because we have been
Yes.
abusing her forever. Like we learn to put things inside our vagina without any consent, and
Yes, for
we
sure.
learn to have sex without real consent from our vagina, which
Yeah.
means we might want the sex here, but our vagina is not ready. So
Yes.
we
Yeah.
just, or we don't really want sex, but we don't want to disappoint our partner, so we
Exactly.
do it.
Yes.
So we are used in our culture to just introduce things, or have intercourse into our vagina without real concern, without really
Yeah.
asking, do I really want to do it? Do I want to do it like this? Do I want to do it now? Is it
Yeah.
welcome? But when we learn that the vagina actually speaks back, that our pussy, our
Yes.
vulva, actually speaks back, and that she can say yes, and that the full body yes can feel life changing,
Yes.
and listening to her no can be really empowering. When we start learning this process, she can trust us enough to also share her pain. And that's
Yeah.
where we realize that there is pain that has nothing to do with sexuality. Sometimes has to do
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
our parents, with our economical situation, with our stress, with
Yes.
the world, and
Exactly.
sometimes it has to do with things that we don't really remember, but our body does.
Yes. Exactly. The body does. And also, you know, we grow up in the society where, you know, we go. on the bus and someone, you know, is bumping into you and touching your breast, for example, and we just say like, oh, you know, that just happened. But
Mhm.
there's so many times in our lives that these things happen, that you go into discotheque and they grab your ass, or they grab you even lower, you know, and they grab your breast, or uh, you know, and we all just like, oh, that's just what happens, that's just what boys do, and like, oh, it doesn't matter. But it's a violation to our body, and
Yeah.
it's, you know, our body is still saying like, this is not okay, I'm actually scared. But you know, we don't, we've been told that it's okay, you know, you don't have to. But still inside of our body it's being processed, and as you said, you know, then the vagina still takes all this thing in also, and even our normal daily stresses in our work. Like
Yeah.
we're women, we're meant to go much more with the flow, and like, you know, feel more, and we don't allow us to feel because we need to live exactly like, you know, our male
Yeah.
humans that are also not feeling. Like, of course they're feeling, but they relate to their emotions in a different way, and we
Mhm.
tell ourselves that we have to relate to our emotions in the same way, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And our vagina is definitely, it's reacting to this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I found one time, and I was so blown away, that I found real forgiveness towards a situation, a family situation that had been waiting in my heart for months. You know, when you feel this grunge, when you feel this against somebody that you love deeply, but you just cannot find total forgiveness. That you find that person and you still feel this anger, this tension. And then I went into a deep sexual healing practice, and suddenly I was crying and I was feeling and I was just like processing all the pain from this person, from my interaction with this person, in my vagina, in the depth of my vagina. And when I
Yeah.
finished processing it from the depth of my vagina, uh, all of a sudden I just loved this person again, deeply, fully. I was just like, oh my God, I feel so much love and I just cannot be angry anymore. And I just forgave
Beautiful.
this person. And I think that uh, there is the power of the pussy. Like, she holds this pain, she holds this healing,
Yeah.
she holds the capacity to help us heal things that might not be even related to her directly. Because, for example, in my case, this person had never done anything sexual to me, but it's
Yeah.
just the interaction that I had with this person. So it's like this healing was in the depth of my pussy, was not even in my mind or in my heart, it was in my pussy.
Yeah. So beautiful, so powerful.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
maybe we could coin the phrase, I forgive you with all my pussy, or I love you with all
Yeah.
my pussy.
Yes. For sure. Yes. Yeah. And it's beautiful because also, like you said, you know, there's wisdom in your inside your pussy. Like there's wisdom in the deepest parts, but also, you know, your um the deepest part of your vagina is connected to your cervix, and your cervix is again connected to your heart and to your throat. Like there's all these energetic pathways that
Mhm.
are, you know, connected to different parts of your body. So even if you've like felt that you could never really speak up, or you know, your word, whatever you say doesn't, you know, it's not being heard, or it's not of value, or it's not like, people think you don't matter. So then even this, it's connected to the deepest part of your vagina. So a lot of women, for example, they feel that when they receive deep penetration, that the part where the penis, the head of the penis is touching the cervix, is causing a lot of pain. It's because also there are so many layers of stuck emotions and like traumas from not being able to speak up, not, you know, even like consent is, of course, is related also to not being able to speak up and say what you want or what you need, or like, hey, I'm not ready yet, I need 15 minutes more, or maybe I actually need half an hour more of foreplay before my body is ready.
Yeah,
And women are like, you know, like you said, either they think their body is broken, so they just force their body.
yeah.
formed up faster than they actually are, or push themselves, or just not listen because in their mind they really want to have sex. And at
Mhm.
the same time, then all these layers are, again, it's all connected to yeah, all these layers inside of you.
I have seen that with sex workers. That I heard the other day a sex worker speaking about this, when she says that she has taken uh, sexuality, she has taken penises in her vagina, of course, because it's her work, but she cannot
Yeah,
stand her cervix to be touched. Like the moment the penetration reaches her cervix, there is huge pain and it's a turn off for her, and she just cannot
yeah,
stand it. And when I heard her speaking about that, I just recall this that you just explained, that it's
yeah.
a gateway to our heart. Therefore, it's a sense of
Yes.
deep wounding in there. And when it
Yeah,
hasn't been healed, it becomes extremely painful. So,
yeah.
uh,
It's
it,
like an armor. That's why, we have these practices that we call de-armoring, because it's
yeah,
really like there's a hard shield around it, and
yeah.
it's all tensed and yeah, while actually when you take the armor off and it's soft and it's open, like the orgasms that you can experience there, they're the most amazing orgasms that a woman can experience. They're like really at the deepest core of your being, and they're like awakening this, like, yeah, orgasmic, cosmic orgasmic vibration inside of your body. And I think a lot of women are actually great craving for this deeper penetration, to really have their whole being filled up with this energy. But yeah, they can't get there because there is still this layer, this armor, uh, yeah, holding in between their this orgasm and yeah.
And how
So
beautiful. This process also makes us uh, have to lean on the one place and the one person where we can feel the safest, which is ourselves. And like,
yes,
it's not something that you can actually ask your partner, like, hey, de-armor me, which
yeah,
then changes the narrative, because
yeah,
women have been taught for many years that sexuality is something that we give to our
yeah,
partner, that we do for
yes,
our partner, or that we receive from our partner, but not something that
yeah,
we do for ourselves. So it
yeah,
totally changes the narrative, because all of a sudden it's about what we do and what we give to ourselves, and how
yeah,
we create this safety for ourselves.
yeah. And I think that's really important, because a lot of times women go to do yoni massages with men, or sometimes of course also with women, but I think it's so much more empowering when women learn how to really touch their own body, how to feel, like with their own fingers, how does it feel there, where do you feel tension,
Mhm.
sound, make yourself be, like you said, safe, feel safe in your own body, give
Yeah,
yourself that safety to yourself. Because when you're going to do this de-armoring with someone else, and of course that can also be very empowering and very healing, but you're giving it away to someone else.
yeah,
So it's I really find that it's that's also what I do in my work, is that I teach women how to do this to themselves, to really feel, to really breathe, to really sound. And there's so much taboo on sounding, like, oh my god,
yeah.
it's so opening, so freeing, so to really, yeah, connect to the vibration of your throat. Because when you can vibrate like freely, the whatever sound wants to come out your throat, it's really also vibrating at your cervix. Like, you can actually, if you're sensitive enough, you can feel the vibration of your throat when you do, for example, ah sounds. You can really feel it, that is flowing through your body all the way to your cervix. And I
Yeah,
think it's so empowering when women learn to sound, to touch their own body, to feel, and to really take that armor off by themselves. And then also, first of all, also experience those orgasms on their own, because then they know, hey, I can give it to myself, I can be the one that's opening my own body and know how to bring that arousal in my own body. And then of course, then when you take a partner in that process, after you've done all that later on in the process, then it's really beautiful, because then you can of course feel even more than what you can feel on your own, because your partner. And then most women also will find that they actually are more confident to speak up and to say, hey, I want it this way, or I'm not ready yet, let's do a little bit more of this and that, or I would like you to touch me a little bit more there because it helps me to whatever. So they actually will guide their men also to what their body needs, because every woman is different.
Yeah,
Every pussy is different.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love this power of the armoring and also of the Jade-Egg. And it's
Yeah.
just like, if women knew all the possibilities that they could find for their own healing and their empowerment in their pussy and in their hands,
Yes.
and how it becomes like a wave that touches their partners, that touches their
Yes.
relationships, and even their work, like how you
Oh
change
yes.
the way in which you move in the world when you feel powerful in your own body, when you feel connected
Yes.
to your own body. It's
Yes,
just
yes,
life
yes. Your
changing.
sexuality is really like, the foundation of who you are. So if you're strong in that base center, then that confidence flows out into every area of your life. Like you said, in business, in how you're standing in walking in the street, and everything. Like it really affects, how you treat your children, how you relate to your parents. It makes such a difference. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And we could
Yay.
just go on for hours
Oh yes.
because there's
Can
so
go from
much.
one topic to another. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Like then safety, then how.
Yeah, and the jade egg. We didn't even talk about the
Oh,
jade egg yet.
there's so much to say about the Jade-Egg and about
Yes.
the armoring practices, how they can
Mm.
go deeply. It's just,
Yes.
but people can find you. I'm going to share your web page in the
Yes.
comments of the
Yes.
videos, and
Unleash
you're
your
also,
wildness.
yes, and you're also offering a Jade-Egg course, right? And
Yes,
a
I
three
have
months programs. Could you tell us more?
7-week Jade-Egg training, which is all online, and it's like lots of different 7 different Jade-Egg practices. But I also have a lot of different bonus practices that I've added to the training. So there
Mhm.
is like a shamanic egg practice that you really tune into also the magic of the shape of the egg, the sacred geometrical energy of the egg. There's a lot of different meditations to ground or to help. Like there can be lots of things that can come up, of course, also in this 7-week process. So to help you also to regulate, to release, to ground yourself, to nurture yourself, to calm yourself. So it's a really complete, beautiful, and all the time I'm saying like, I don't know, I feel I've created the best Jade-Egg training in the world. Because I feel like I've put so much of it, of all the goodness that I know inside this training, and it has beautiful build up from uh, basic Jade-Egg to weightlifting to connecting to the great goddess and energy orgasms and all these
Mm.
other different parts that I attach to it. So really, really amazing training. I love it. And the 3-month program is the program is called Live a Turn on Life, and it's for women that really feel like they have a lot of trauma and pain, like a lot of vagina pain that they want to heal. So it's really focusing on self-love to really enhance and develop self-love, and from that self-love also to learn how to bring that self-pleasure. So I don't call it masturbation, because masturbation is like, quick, okay,
Yeah.
clitoral, whoop, okay, I had a little orgasm and I'm finished. But self-pleasure is really about what we said before, learning how to de-armor, how does my body feel, where are the spots that are working for me, and then to enhance it, to let it grow, and to let that orgasmic energy really flow through your own body. So that's a 3-month program, and it's also beautiful program.
That's amazing. That's so
Yeah.
amazing. And then
And they're
uh,
both online. Yeah, fully
that's
online.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. I love the power of the Jade-Egg practice. I really want to point that out, because there's a lot of people wearing Jade-Eggs right now, but they
Yeah.
don't really know how to do a practice that actually can make the best out of the tool that they are wearing. So
Yes.
that's something that I always want to point out, that it's not the power, it's not in the gem, which is beautiful, and it's obviously has its advantages, and I love my Jade-Egg with my whole heart, but the power is in the practice, in how you move the Jade-Egg, how you connect with the energy, and how you move the energy. So I really want to encourage people to take the time to go through guided practices, to take a course that takes them
So
into
powerful.
learning.
Yes, definitely. So powerful.
Yeah, I do one monthly practice, which is a ceremony for women that both have experience or not in the Jade-Egg practice.
Oh, with the Jade-Egg. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
so it's a ceremony for women just to get together. I guide the Jade-Egg practice, and that can be done with or without the Jade-Egg, because sometimes you are bleeding, or sometimes your pussy just doesn't want the Jade-Egg. Sometimes
Exactly, yes.
she just says,
Very
okay.
important also to not just push it up and like
Exactly.
your tampon and make more damage again. No, I don't listen.
Exactly. We learn to listen, and if she doesn't want the Jade-Egg, she can do her practice without the Jade-Egg. And so I guide them through a monthly practice where we connect, where we nourish each other from this power of sisterhood and connection with the goddess, and connection with our life force, which is our sexual energy. And then, and I also offer a free Feel Safe in Your Body program, which is the link is in my bio, so that you can have a little bit of practices just to feel connected to your body. Because just as we mentioned here, the body keeps the score, the body holds all the tension. So let's listen to the messages of our body and create this safety in it.
Yes, so important.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining in this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was really a pleasure to be here.
Yes, it's so nice to have you here. And please, guys, make sure that you follow her on her social media and her webpage, and make sure that you follow me too. And let's keep this going. I'm going to be offering you amazing interviews this couple of months, so just make sure that you follow this channel.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.